You know what? Candy is always fabulous, but what
Candy
might
is dandy,
be
Dave.
even better is a nicely prepared meal. And we want to welcome in Monsignor Michael Billion, Meals with Monsignor. And we want to thank you again, Monsignor Billion, for being with us for the big old Christmas party where in front of the gathered folks, you prepared Hanky Panks.
Hanky Panks.
Absolutely fabulous appetizer for the holiday.
Delicious.
Well, I'll tell you what, this morning I thought that I got such a great reaction from it and from that recipe, and particularly from the other priests who were on the stage, who sometimes were respectful of what was going on.
I've heard stories.
I thought I would just do a quick review of that recipe today and
Perfect.
then move on to a little something else that would help spice up something that people are doing already. So, first little look at Hanky Panks today. Some people call them by different names, but that's what we call them. And they're a wonderful appetizer when you have guests over for the holidays. You need some ground chuck, some pork sausage, an onion, some oregano, some garlic powder, some Velveeta cheese, and then get those little party ryes, those little pieces, the little loaves of bread. I think Pembridge makes them, but other people make them as well. What you need to do is brown a pound of ground chuck and a pound of that pork sausage together in your pan on the oven. Drain off the excess fat. Add some chopped onions. The recipe says 1 tablespoon. I put in a little handful. So you kind of put in what you like. If you like a little more onion, put some more onion in. If you don't like it, put less in. Then some oregano and some garlic powder, and let that cook together for a few minutes. That's important to let those flavors share each other and get comfortable with each other before you take a pound of Velveeta cheese. Now, you have to chop that cheese up into little blocks. And you're doing this all, by the way, over a medium heat, not too hot. You don't want to burn things. And then you just add that cheese into that mix with the meat and the onions and the spices, and let it all melt together. That cheese will melt together. It'll make a delicious, absolutely delicious kind of meat mixture. And then take those party ryes and spread some of it. Now, spread it generously. Don't be lenient. Don't do the Pat Odie Murray way of doing things.
Hey.
All the factory stuff and only put a little bit on there. Put a generous helping on those party ryes. Put them on a cookie sheet. Throw them in the oven for at 350, maybe only for 5 minutes. You'll see the cheese start to bubble up a little bit. Take those little babies out of the oven and then just enjoy them.
Yum.
They're great for people to share. It's very easy. You can make them all in advance. You can even make them and freeze them, and then bring them out for your party and just put them in the oven. That's a great appetizer. And that's what we did on stage at the good old Christmas party at the Maumee Indoor with Annunciation Radio this last week. So a little highlight of what happened there. Now, we'll move on to the new thing for the week. Now, this little recipe you can do with any beef that you serve, whether it's a steak, whether it's a filet mignon, whether it's even a rib roast. But this is a red wine balsamic reduction sauce. So it's the sauce that we're going to use to enhance the flavor of the meat. It's also very simple. I know that the recipe's on the website already.
Yeah, both.
About a quarter cup. Again, remember, all my portions are guesses. You like a little more, put some more in. You don't like it, put a less in. So about a quarter cup of really finely chopped, needs to be very finely chopped yellow onion. So not a real sweet onion, a yellow onion. And do that in some unsalted butter, just over a medium saucepan until those onions are nice and then soft. And then you need to add 1.5 cups of red wine. And as well, along with the red wine, I want you to add 1/2 cup of balsamic vinegar. Let those things cook down a little bit, and then put a little sugar in there. You're going to need a little sugar to thicken this up a little bit and give it just a little hint of a taste that's a good balance with the vinegar. And then salt and pepper it to taste. It takes, you need to cook it about 10 minutes because it needs to reduce. You really want the contents of your pan to reduce by 1/2. So it's a little thicker sauce, not a real watery one. and once you stir the sugar in, just let it continue to boil at a medium heat until that reduction happens, and it becomes a little bit syrupy. It takes about 10 minutes or so for that to happen. Give it a taste, see if it needs a little more salt or a little more pepper. And then my suggestion to you always is do not put this sauce over the meat. You don't want to smother the meat. You have a good piece of meat, you want to enjoy the flavor. And so put it on the bottom of the plate. Put a little pool of this balsamic reduction on the bottom of the plate, and then put the meat on top of it. Then you get to enjoy both flavors together on the meat. And again, you might just eat, a little piece of steak or a little filet or something like that on a regular time during the year, just normally. This is a way to spark it up a little bit for the holidays. So you got a little specialness into your steak or into your beef of any kind, and it just gives it a nice little sparky flavor. That the red wine and the balsamic vinegar together make a wonderful blend, which just kind of excites your taste buds, and it really gets your taste buds ready to enjoy the wonderful, beautiful flavor of the meat, as long as you don't overcook the meat. When you cook meat too long, turn it into leather, that's when you cook all the flavor out of it.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you don't overdo the meat too much.
You've watched
put it right
me
on
cook.
top of that sauce and enjoy it there. Enjoy it there.
Okay.
It really sparks everything up. It'll make for a great addition to a holiday dinner, or even just a little family dinner during the holidays when we want to make things special, because we do all this work during Advent, not just to get ready to decorate the house and bake the cookies, but to celebrate that the Lord is coming, that he came many years ago, that he comes to us every single day in our life in mystery, and he's going to come in majesty at the end of time. And so we prepare ourselves for all three of those comings of Jesus. And to do that, because Jesus loved food, 10 times Jesus had a meal in the New Testament, and we know that food is mentioned over 1,000 times in the Bible, so we got to do the holy thing, but make it a good thing at the dinner table as well. So use these recipes to entice your guests. Now, Pat, what do you got a question, I'm sure?
I have a question. Now, you said the magic word in that you saute the onions in unsalted butter. Why unsalted? I see recipes with unsalted butter, and I think, what's the big deal? Tell me about this. Why?
The big deal is, you want to control the salt taste. You don't want one of your ingredients to control the salt taste. You may get that done, and you might decide at the end you need no salt. That's fine. But if you use salted butter, you've lost your choice. Remember, you're the chef. You're in charge. The ingredient isn't in charge. So you need to keep the control to yourself and not let someone put salt in your butter before you even open the package.
So does it ruin the recipe? I can't. Yes, I understand what you're telling me, but does it ruin the recipe if I use salted butter and then don't use salt later?
You lose your choice. God gave us a free will, Pat, and we need to be able to exercise it.
All right, Monsignor.
I love it. I love this recipe as adding spark
Advent,
to the
everybody.
meat. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monsignor.
Thanks, Monsignor.
As Monsignor says, adding spark to the meat, it's like adding incense during the liturgies, right? It's like we could call it a Father Eric Schild reduction. Anyway, there you go.
I'm sorry I missed that.
Oh, my goodness.
At the big old
I'm
Christmas
sorry you
party.
missed that part. That was so fabulous. And Monsignor's presentation, so incredible that night. So thank you, Monsignor Billion.
I got to try that.
We love our meals with Monsignor.